everyone. My name is Adanzi Osamonika, and this is the Mind Doctor Show. It's a show where we break down mental health, bring it to your home, bring it to your phone, bring it to exactly where you are. And I'm so excited today. I've been asking them to give me a shekere since, and they refused to. Because I wanted to be shaking it every 5 minutes, but they said too much. Anyway, right here today, I have two very. In fact, to be able to get them into the show it's a big privilege. So I'm so glad to introduce Dr. Otefe Debi, who's a consultant, psychiatrist, and psychologist. His profile is too long, I can't even call it out. And then this is Ladi Aduralere. She's a psychologist and also a mental health advocate and a counselor. So, guys, just tune in with us. As in, stay where you are. Don't touch that dial, because this is the Mind Doctor Show, and my name is Adanze, and we'll be right back. Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. My name is Adanze, and as I said, this is the Mind Doctor Show, and with my soldiers in arms. These are my soldiers in arms. They're my co-hosts today. So we are tackling this thing called mental health today, So as I said before, Dr. Otefe Debi, who's a consultant psychiatrist, a psychologist, and I was even hearing him recently that he's a PS. In fact, I thought he's a celebrity. Wow. He's the recipient of the let me say it correctly. He's the recipient of the 2017 PSR Development in Nigeria Merit Award. It has acronym DINMA. Nigeria has recognized him for the contribution he has made in psychiatry. Doc, remember me in your kingdom when you are, as you are going, let me be carrying your bag. No problem. So, and also next to him she's no small person at all. Her name is Ladi Aduralere, and she is a psychologist, and she's shy. Hey, and now me too. Now I'm shy. Okay, but let me just say some of the things that you are doing now. Okay. You are a passionate mental health. I said passionate. You are a passionate mental health advocate. As in you are just counseling left and right. When I spoke to her, I said she has counseled over, in fact the number she gave me is over how many people. I said, in this Nigeria, how many people are coming for counseling? But so I'm so glad, honestly, because I'm so excited that we really want to talk about something that is dear to all our hearts, not just as a profession, but also as like I was telling somebody that when it comes to mental health and health in general, for me it's not just a job. For me, it's more like, aside from a calling, it's like a part of it. It's like when I see a problem in the health sector or in the mental health field, I feel it's almost like as if my tummy turns and I really want to find a way to solve it. So at that point,
that's you, I mean.
Exactly. Doctor is just okay. So my tummy turns and I want to solve it. When I was inviting you, you were telling me that you want to solve part of the problem. And now you are changing mouths now that we are here. It's not fair.
Well,
I told you your next trip.
I'm well passionate.
Yeah, we're all passionate. We're all passionate.
Anyway, as I was saying, so mental health. It's one of the most, I feel one of the most misunderstood topics, especially even in the medical field. I like to call it Medikingdom. That even the health professionals who don't even understand mental health, health professionals who don't even want to touch it, there's this kind of fear. So I'm hoping that by the time we're through today, we'll be able to. She was smiling when I said, "There's this kind of fear." It's true. Is it not? I've not seen somebody say, "Hey, I don't know." I don't. We're demonstrating to someone. We're in that meeting together now. So I told someone that if my hand is hurting me, and I tell you my hand is hurting me, you'll be like, "Go and take medicine. Go ahead." But if I start or something like that, you would just. In fact, the person, the guy moved small. The guy. So people don't really understand what it is about, And really, I don't think it's something people should be afraid of. I think it's something that we need to understand, because when you understand it,
you now know to deal with
exactly. We were having a conversation somewhere where somebody said, when you use the word spiritual to any African, call anything, maybe call it sickness and call spiritual alongside. Automatically, you have, if any chance to solve that problem first, you have cancelled it because the person is already thinking. In fact, the thoughts the person is thinking at that point.
Back to the village people.
Back to the village people. You can't even solve any problem there. But as in, let's leave that out, you know, for now. But let us begin to face it as a health problem, which it really is.
Truly
because there's a famous saying that says, there is no health without
mental health.
You know, so Doc, so we'll start with, you know, could you tell us what is mental health, really?
Well, interestingly, like you said, it's there's no health without mental health. So mental health, by definition, is said to be one's capacity to achieve his or her potential.
Potential?
Okay. So it talks also about one's capacity to be productive at work. It talks about one's capacity to cope with normal stress of life. And then finally it talks about one's capacity to contribute to his or her community. So you will notice that in my definition, which is the WHO standard definition, there are 4 components of mental health, and it has nothing to do with sickness. So it's one's potential to be productive.
Productive.
Yeah.
Productive.
Exactly.
Let's keep that in mind. Productive. You said productive one.
Yeah. So I said to be productive at work, contribute to your community, cope with normal stress of life, and attain your full potential.
Attain your full potential. That basically really sounds like a human being who is functioning at his optimal best.
Absolutely.
Really. The ideal human being to be.
Absolutely.
Really, okay.
Because once your mental health, you know, when we now talk, so that's your mental health. When we now talk about mental illness, because many times people think mental illness refers to one type of illness. But mental illness has to do with any form of health challenge that borders on your behavior, on your thinking, and your mood. So I love this famous, I always say this famous acronym. Instead of thinking of ATM machine, think about BTM. Just put the B.
BTM.
Yes, just put the
I've never heard that. That's really
nice.
BTM.
That's me. You couldn't have heard it anywhere
Oh,
else.
wow.
You heard it on this show.
Let's see. Okay, so we're trying to be, Doc has, BTM.
Behavior, thinking, and
that's how you know somebody's very intelligent.
Yeah.
When they start using an acronym for you, special, that's an acronym that they created, their own specialized acronym.
Bam.
Okay, so Doc, really, honestly, mental illness has to do with your behavior.
Thinking, and mood. So anything that impacts on that, you know. So for example, substance abuse impacts on one's behavior. You know, things like anxiety impacts on how you think. You know, then things like also, I mean, psychotic illnesses also has a distortion of how you see reality. So it impacts on this. Things like depression impacts on your mood. You know, bipolar impacts on your mood. So anything along that line. So learning disorders too will impact on one's thinking, on one's behavior.
Learning disorders. So I don't want to cut you, but learning disorders, that's one too that people are quite confused about.
Yeah.
So these learning disorders, are you talking about dyslexia, or are you talking about...
So there's a broad, there are a lot of things that come under learning disorders. So dyslexia is one of them. Dyslexia is not the only form of learning disorder, but it's one of the commonest form of learning disorder. And it's interesting because mentioning dyslexia, because if you've never really encountered someone who struggles with that, you know, they'll tell you that their mind cannot process information like every other person. You know, so they have to kind of find a way to navigate, in quotes, the world or the academic system, because the academic system wasn't designed for people with that kind of challenge.
Just so that people don't even lose what we're saying, what is dyslexia itself?
Okay, so dyslexia really has to do with your writing and your prose. So it's dysfunctional writing, but it basically has to do, it goes beyond just writing. It basically has to do with dysfunctional reading capacity. So the individual looks at the words, looks at the figures, but the brain connection is not making it like every other person. So they kind of have to...
And this is real. This is actually not a child trying to get out of something.
And I think at this point it's also important to then say that mental illness is not a spiritual issue. This is a table.
Yeah, that's a table. That's a strong table in Nigeria. Okay.
But so it has to do with brain malfunction, if I may use that word.
I like that, brain malfunction.
Yeah, so it's function that is affected, not necessarily structure. So you could check the brain, do all your MRI, do all your CT scan, the structures are intact, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the functioning is intact. So sometimes I like to just put it in this way. You could have a house with a bulb, it's intact, the bulb is there, but the wiring within the bulb is no longer functioning well.
The wiring within the bulb.
Exactly. Exactly. So that sometimes that's what leads to all of these things. And because today we cannot categorically state exactly, though in today we're advancing and making more discoveries and all of that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that because we can't clearly explain it, it then means that it is mystical. Because many years ago, there are many illnesses today that we can clearly explain that many years ago
that were considered mystical
exactly.
in the past.
Exactly.
Yeah, there was a research I did, and they were talking about even the Egyptians. It's not just a Nigerian thing, but even the Egyptians thought that mental illness was mystical.
The entire world thought. Wow. I mean, it's just that at different phases and at different people at different phases have moved on. So many people have moved on from the concept. They moved on. But I would not say that we are still stuck. There's a new generation of people that are, let's not claim, but we are there. Yes, but we are there. But there's a new generation that's changing the narrative, and we're excited about it. I always say I'm excited to be alive in this time, because when I was doing my training, my teachers told us that until we have a face to mental health, that the story would not change. And what she was simply saying was that until we have people come out to say, I have this mental health challenge, then it was an extreme taboo. Even your family members will you want to disgrace us. You want to come out. That if you want to disgrace yourself, we will not allow you to disgrace yourself, because it's going to affect us. But today we have people saying, I have bipolar, I have depression, I'm struggling with anxiety, I have, what's that famous one in school? ADHD. Now, in fact, people that don't even have, they are claiming
it.
It now looks sexy as we say. Mental health, exactly. So
it's really, really amusing. Actually, there's something that you said that really got me. You said, till they put a face to mental illness. And many years ago, like I told you, I wrote my book last year about how I overcame depression. Okay. So the book is like, it's about my true story, and then, steps on how to, because it was through the story that you would see different ways of how, I didn't know I was in that kind of journey, that kind of thing, because for the first 1.5 years, was way back when, for the first 1.5 years, I didn't even know it was depression. I knew there was something wrong. Not that I wasn't I was a medical person, but I just thought that something is wrong, and because, back then, nobody even spoke about such things, As soon as somebody starts saying, I'm feeling anyhow, in fact, how do you even explain, because depression itself, some people cannot even explain it. You just feel there's something wrong. I was like, there's something wrong. This isn't me. This isn't me. There's something wrong. But I didn't know what it was, But it was because of that desire to find out what was wrong that I now was eventually able to see a counselor and discover it was depression. Then the next 1.5 years of trying to come out of it, because it takes work. That's one thing a lot of people don't understand, that even to have optimal mind health, it takes your own participation.
Exactly.
You get, like you were saying something about, let's even get to that. So you're saying something about people coming, like when people come for counseling, what has been your experience,
Okay, so with Mentally Aware Nigeria Initiative, we are a virtual space. So we operate in the social media realm.
Yeah, seriously. Realm. I'm feeling like a lot of the rings or something. So realm.
Most of our cases are picked from social media. Yes, we get calls, and people call for several types of issues: relationship issues, marriage, grief, substance abuse, addiction. Some just call because they need to talk to someone. So the space is open because we want people to accept that you can always talk to people. We want people to come out. Like the campaign you said you saw, Speak Your Mind. Yes, it's so that people can be comfortable enough to express and share. In Nigeria, we have been so boxed up not to really talk about our problems. You can't even tell your parents.
As in, yes.
You can't tell your parents, so how would you now feel comfortable talking to a stranger?
So I remain Dansdale Somonika, and this is the Mind Doctor Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Mind Doctor Show. I remain Adanze Somonika, and we were having an awesome conversation about what mental health is, what mental illness is. I mean, even Doc was able to bring us into his space where he created his own acronym.
BTM.
You know, so I was like, I mean, that's how dope you are. When you're dope, you're dope. Yeah, that's how stars is it that's
behavior,
how
thinking,
that's all,
and
that's
mood?
how stars do. That's
Okay.
how stars do. He created his own acronym to tell us that's how you know somebody.
Oh,
is
she said
going
that's
through
how
challenge.
stars do.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I said. In fact, my start. They have elevated my Kiniba. Even their presence here has elevated my. You know, so. You know, because after this, we should take picture, take selfie, we post on social media. I said, we know people. There's something else she too did though. She said that, you know, that money is, you know, virtual. It's dealing with the virtual realm. Yeah. You know, so and we said in our own generation.
A lot of rings.
Yes, we don't have realm. Our own is physical. We are used to physical patient, physical hair. You see the matter, deal with it, you know. But still it's virtual, you know. So like, okay. So can you tell us a little bit more about this virtual realm?
Okay. I was trying to form a straight face, but it didn't work. Yes. So in the virtual space, we pick up cases from Twitter, from Instagram, from Facebook. People reach out to us. We have a form, an online form. They fill an online form stating briefly the case. Then we have a platform where our counselors are ready to pick up the cases. So whatever case interests you, based on your specialty, you pick it. So we have more than 100 counselors on our WhatsApp platform.
100 counselors?
Yes.
Wow, I had no idea. Wow,
That is the biggest for now.
Yay!
Yeah,
Money!
yeah, the big. As in, yeah, I'm so glad. So just help me greet them when you go back. You know, mention our
They are
name,
greeting you.
You know that
They are greeting you.
We are hailing them over here. That's what they are doing in the virtual realm.
It's impressive.
Yes.
Yeah, I got this question at an interview once. That like, why are there people doing anything about mental health? Where can we? I said there are people doing things.
Plenty.
There are people doing a lot of things. So people should come out of the mindset of that there's nobody doing anything.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just that you haven't looked to see what is going on in my own.
Or you're not comfortable enough to speak up
about it, exactly.
Yes, because people still struggle.
Yes, you know, like, even when you're speaking, like when you doctor, you are generally saying this a lot when you go out to talk, and then people have this look in their eyes like, should I see? They are looking at you and they literally know everything that you are saying, you know. Yeah. But it's like, should I? How will I speak? I mean, as in you said the name of the program, speak your mind.
Yeah.
Speak your mind, you know, free yourself. That's another thing I like to do.
Okay, so since we're doing speak your mind, you do like this.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just imagining my daughters. She'd be like, "Mommy, you think you're cool? Okay, say, well,
speak your mind.
Let me be yes.
Yeah.
So speak your mind. Speak your mind. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Speak your mind, and it's true, really, because that's where the healing actually starts.
Yeah.
Because by the time you say there's something wrong, you know, where was my turning point? It was just one day. I think my husband just asked. My husband then was always in and out of. He was offshore, so he hardly. So what would happen when he comes around? I'll pretend to be happy. Then when and why was I pretending to be happy? Because I didn't know what was wrong with me. So you say, what's wrong with you? Like you men, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't even know what's wrong with me. Yeah. This conversation will not go anywhere positive. So I was really like, I'll just like play it up, and then when he goes, I'll now
come back to
you know, on this particular day, I think he said something, and he just asked me about something. And the way I answered it, he was not like, this is not you. There's something wrong.
Okay.
You sound so negative. Yeah. There's something wrong, you know. Don't you think we should start looking at this? And I think it just hit me that there's something wrong. There was no reason for me to answer the way I answered. It was because normally, if anyone was a very happy person, I make a leave. I cannot come and kill myself. You know, this kind of life. So when you get to that point, you won't know when, as you said, it affects BTM, affects your thoughts, your moods, then eventually it begins to affect your behavior.
Yeah. Yes, and people around you.
And people around you. So everybody now gets to, my kids will look at Mommy, it's going to be all right, it's going to be all right. They hugging me and I'll be like, because they could see that I wasn't really the person that you know. So tell us a bit more about what your organization is doing. I think a lot of people need to know that there is that kind of option. If they cannot get up and go to, and sorry, I always have to mention, Doc is the medical director of Tranquil and Quest, which
fantastic.
Yes. It's
That's fantastic.
Sure, but Doc, should I look at the paper very well so I won't read, I won't say yes. The medical director of Tranquil and Quest. And Tranquil and Quest it's a premium, mental health and substance abuse treatment facility. They're in partnership with Gen Psych, which is in the States. So basically, before we come back to you, tell us a bit about what your organization does.
Okay, so we've been around for over 2 years, but our parent company is Gen Psych. It's based in New Jersey, USA, and there in the US we have currently about 6 centers all in New Jersey. It's quite, we attend to, there in the US, we attend to close to 500 people on a daily basis.
It doesn't mean that there's plenty mental illness in New Jersey. What is happening to, why?
Why
in New Jersey? Why?
No. I think it's just an enlightened, it's like we said, every society, I've always believed, every society, no society excluded, has always believed mental health is a spiritual problem. But over the years, over various generations, some people have moved away from that mindset. So that's just basically it. I mean, we are even just one of the many mental health facilities in New Jersey. So even as much as we see that number on a daily basis, we still get to, there are still many other centers. But I'm not here to talk about the other centers, But we've been around for about 2 years now, greater than 2 years. We started exactly May 2017. The pioneer medical director of the facility, and it's been a fantastic journey. I think for us, what we do is that we provide, I would like to call it an option. We are adding to the voice of changing the whole narrative of mental health in Nigeria. And we are one of the contributors, and we like to provide that option because until now, when you talk about health, there are a lot of brands in the physical health industry. Options, but when you talk about mental health in private care in mental health,
care, that's one thing that was not.
You don't have so much options, and you don't have options at level of premium brand. So we provide that. I mean, there are people who can afford it, and some of these persons, even because of the reality of the stigma, some of these persons go abroad to receive mental health care.
Wow.
Yeah.
For real?
No, they do. I mean, there are people in Nigeria that take on the services of psychiatrists and literally employ psychiatrists to go with them on a 1-month tour for service there. There are Nigerians who take psychiatric nurses, all sorts of people to travel with them because they have a mental health challenge. And the truth about mental health is this: even if you go abroad to receive care, there's a need for follow-up. But thank God for the virtual realm. That is kind of making the whole world smaller.
Global village.
Exactly. So you could be in Canada and receive your service here in Nigeria.
Exactly.
But also the thing and the beauty about mental health is that mental health is also a highly cultural medical condition. What I mean by that is that, so if someone in the US has schizophrenia, he's going to present with maybe if he's paranoid, he may talk about the FBI and all of that. The person in Nigeria is not going to talk about the FBI.
The person with schizophrenia in America will talk about FBI.
Now, depend on
the person in Nigeria.
Yes, exactly. We'll talk about SARS. Exactly. Oh, I didn't mention that.
I didn't say that.
Scratch that. We are only here for medical something.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't call SARS.
Yes. No activism.
No, we did SARS. Exactly. So it's largely cultural. Yeah, it's largely cultural. Yeah, very cultural.
How do I let this laughing?
No, very cultural. I know you're trying to be serious, but I'm serious here. It's very cultural, and so even though you go abroad, what the point I'm trying to make is that sometimes to kind of relate with somebody having a mental health issue, you have to understand the context with that the person is having that struggle. Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
Because our work is counseling first aid.
Okay.
So we still transfer severe cases to
the psychiatrist,
right? And even professional therapists that will take longer sessions.
Okay.
So from dealing with people, I've been able to understand that people are scared of medications.
Okay.
You know, when you have some type of mental health issues, maybe schizophrenia or severe depression, you might need to use medication for it.
Yeah.
People come back saying, oh, I don't like the medicine that was given to me at the hospital. It's making me feel some type of way that I wasn't feeling before. Like, what can we do about that? Because we have some people that are of the school of thought that, you know, therapy can go a longer process, yes, but I will feel better, you know, if I can struggle, be conscious and deliberate about it, that I will feel better rather than I take medication. They are scared of what those medications can do to their mind.
So if I get what you're saying like people want to feel that they have some kind of control over it. If they push themselves to feel better, they will feel better.
Yes, some people, not all. But my concern is about the medication because we've seen it change people over time.
Okay, well, it will forever be an argument both here in Nigeria and anywhere in the world. You know, people always argue about medications. Is it necessary? Is it not necessary? I think sometimes I like to say that as much as some people think they don't need it, they actually do need it. It literally changes. Because you see, let me put it this way. Mental health, and let's talk about depression. Depression is not a defect in character, it's a defect in chemistry.
Chemistry.
So it's not a function, it's not just a function that I'm weak. It's not a function of, oh, I'm not a strong person. Some very strong people have suffered depression. Now, I'm not talking about has been sad. Everybody has been sad at one point or the other. But literally struggle with, why don't I feel good with myself? Everything is working. Everything is fantastic. I'm not talking about something happened to you that you now went into depression. It's that you are looking around you and you even feel bad that you are feeling bad.
See, but I have to stop so that I re-emphasize that point. Because some people, you know, someone was telling me because he doesn't have money, why won't he be depressed? You know, and I said it's not about the money. That's not a hair.
But then again, in Nigeria, you know, in the world, the statistic says that money is not a factor for depression. Money doesn't cause. But in Nigeria, based on the cases we receive, it shows that money can be a factor in our climb. Here in Nigeria, because there's a downtime in our economic situation, so people are starting to adjust to that changes. So they are adjusting and also experiencing mental health issues.
We're going to come back to this because this is actually a very, very key area we need to address. So, guys, we'll be right back. My name is Adanzio Somonika, and this is the Mind Doctor Show.
Yay, my doctor!
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Mind Doctor Show. My name is Adanzio Somonika, and as I said, the guests I have with the show in the studio with me, Dr. Tefe and Ladi, we've been talking up a storm, in fact, cracking jokes, but at the same time talking up, as in they were able to reveal a whole lot in the last conversation that we had. And I like us to take it back from that angle. Doc was talking about the cultural context of how some people end up with depression and all that, and then we brought out the context that sometimes doesn't have anything to do with money. But I wanted to like, before you bring up the experience and the research and the stuff that you guys even see happening in money, like for example in my own situation, I had experienced I'd gone into a business which I knew nothing about. I was much, much younger. You can tell I'm a headstrong person. I was very headstrong.
You can't tell now.
So I lost a lot of money, lost a lot of stuff, lost a lot of, and I also think, because I even write about it in my book, I think that there were things that happened in childhood that were already set as triggers. So by the time, bam, I just found myself, in depression. And at that time, there was money, everything was good. There was no real, because I used to battle about it in my head, is that there is no reason to really be depressed. As in, it wasn't like as if I was looking for food for children or looking for what have you, but I was depressed, you know. So that part really made me think that, okay, so it wasn't really about whether you had money or not. But you brought out an angle that said, you know, that in the context of Nigeria, right?
Yes.
Doc was saying context. Context, yeah. Because I'm say, okay, you brought the angle that said that in the context of Nigeria, the calls that you guys get, we cannot eradicate the poverty angle, yeah?
Yes.
And somebody even brought up this issue of the IDP camps angle,
exactly.
all those kind of wars and all that kind of stuff, that these things still lead to. So tell us a bit more about that.
Okay, so money is a factor to depression in Nigeria based on the call. And if you look at the way things has been in the society, it wasn't so bad. But now things are really bad, and people are finding it difficult to adjust to the situation that is going on. Things are more expensive. People are losing their jobs. People are finding it difficult to pay school fees. So they put all these things together, and we could call it situational factor that caused depression.
Yes.
So we can't say money is not a factor in Nigeria. If they believe that in the UK, in the US, that's fine. But we cannot say because we are learning from them, we should now refuse to acknowledge what is going on in our society.
There's something that Doc said at the beginning, I think we were discussing before we came on air, that a lot of stuff in mental health that we practice now was advised from abroad.
Yes.
And we haven't gotten to the point where we are the ones determining this is our problem, this is where we are. Yes. This is our own peculiar situation, you know, and what can we do about our own peculiar situation? Which is really what you're trying to say. If there's IDP camps and people like, I mean, I watched one, somebody invited me to the premiere of one, I can't remember the name of that film, but as in, I'll never forget that film for the rest of my life, because it was typical IDP, what was happening in the IDP camps, you know, girls getting raped, disease and all that. There's no way somebody will walk out of that camp a normal person. You know, that kind of a thing. And then, you know, this other issue of like, Doc said at the beginning that mental health is the ability to be able to cope with the normal stresses of life.
Yes.
Now, when those stresses become more than a person can cope, stress in itself is not supposed to be chronic and consistent and continuous. Stress is supposed to be, there'll be stress, but, you know, after a while, you know, because you're talking about the level of cortisol and adrenaline in your system, that's what happens when you are stressed, right? And it's supposed to help you deal with the situation. But if you're walking around with elevated cortisol and adrenaline, already are like, it's like as if you're a live wire through, you know, how can that, you know, how will somebody walk away from that without being affected? You know, so Doc, let's even go back to what you were saying about, she was asking about the drugs, and you were saying, you were trying to bring us into what, you know.
Okay, what I was saying, that people will need drugs. Some will not need drugs, but some will definitely. Even, and saying that I don't think I need doesn't mean that you still don't need. You know, it is just what it is. You know, what I mean by that is that some people will come and say, can you treat me without medication? But I always say to them that, look, let me be the judge of that. And I say that not because I'm trying to like lord it over them or this thing, but sometimes I say, okay, you know what, let's do this. Let's do something called a therapeutic trial. Be on this medication for this amount of period and see if you feel better. You know, and sometimes you start people on medication, but you tell them that, look, you still need to go through therapy, but drug will help you to even be in the presence of mind to appreciate therapy. You know, I think let me even just stress this. You can go through therapy, and your therapist say a lot of good things, and let's leave even the moment you leave the room. In that, say you argue throughout, saying, I don't feel that way, shall say, okay, say positive word, but why would I say positive word? You know, sometimes because it's not a defect in character, it's a defect in chemistry. There's actually an imbalance going on in the brain, and that's why the medication come in. So the medication is not just there. Yes. Now, how do you explain why people say, some people tell you they don't want to take medication. Now, young people and old people, different people, but they say I want to do weed. How do you explain that? They say, okay, because because at the end of the day when you take
marijuana, that's what you say. Did you say we?
Banana, yes, SK and the rest, Arizona, all that, because when you do that, it alters the chemical in the mind. That's the same thing the medication will do. So it's not just an option of this thing. And then I think finally the thing is that there is also a misconception. So there's one. So there are cases where someone takes medication, it gets worse, and then he says, because of that, I don't want to touch any medication again. But see, there are a long list of other medications you could try. That this one didn't work for you. Doesn't
try. That's the word.
Yeah, try is the word.
So you get hooked up on saying that I don't want to try. The truth is that where we are today, we got there by trying. Yes. We fly today because there are a lot of trials.
Doc is dropping another rep, by the way.
So where I'm going on with that is that it still comes down to the mindset. The person is terrified by the word try. But then if you put try in the right context, what is wrong with the concept of, when I even tell you in therapy, go try out this technique. What am I doing? Try. But you see, it's comfortable to try that out and find out that doesn't work for you. But it's not comfortable to try out a medication to find out whether it doesn't work for you.
Have you noticed that in mental health, it's one of the few areas of medicine where a patient wants to tell you, the doctor, what he or she needs.
Yeah.
You notice that a lot, because if a patient walked into my office and he had cancer now, for example, I'm not expecting him to come in with his own analysis, with his own information. Basically, you couldn't help yourself, right? That's why you came. I always even encourage people, get information though. Come to the office, with informed, but do not resort to being the expert in the room, because if you were the expert in the room,
you wouldn't be here.
You wouldn't be here,
Exactly.
So really, because this case, I've seen so many cases like this where the person tried a particular medication, it didn't work out. And that person has said, okay, I'm not going to try medication ever. That is not the solution. It's to find out whether that medication, probably that wasn't the right medication for you. And it's not that there needs to be medication in every scenario, but in some scenarios, the chemistry of the brain is beyond, the person is not in the right frame of mind to even collect that psychotherapy or any kind of talk therapy. That the chemicals need to be balanced before we can now start to say, okay, let's talk about speaking positive, let's talk about so it's really why there was something I wanted to ask us before we got in on this other train that was, in fact, such a wonderful train. But I'm so excited I'm on this train. Honestly, as people of your timber and your caliber, I am, it's not
in the
zone. So there's something I wanted to ask both of you. You say that as you're done, that the stigma. Why are people so afraid when it comes to mental health, and why is there stigma?
Lady talks to a lot of them. Why is there?
Okay, why is there stigma? Help us to
Well, from what we've seen, I believe it has to do with the social structure. What I mean by that is, in Nigeria, like I said earlier, we do not accept people. We do not allow people to talk to us. We are not accepting other people's opinions or feelings because we want to. I don't want to use the word lord over them. We want to be in charge of ourselves. We want to just have our we box ourselves, so to speak, because we're afraid of what someone else might think about us. Let me use myself as an example. So if I'm going through a difficult time, I'm already judging or looking at it from every other person's point of view. I'm assuming that, she's going to feel this, he's going to think that. So it will be quite difficult for me to share. Aside from that, people are not even accepting. You're not ready to hear me out because you have social beliefs or cultural beliefs that, women don't do this, boys don't cry, girls don't crack, or things related. So those are things that have already been imbibed in us as young ones as we are growing up. So if a guy has, like now, the whole gender issue that is going on right now, and is having some confusion. And it feels like, okay, I don't understand how I'm feeling. I don't know if I'm straight or I'm attracted to the opposite sex. Because we're not even encouraging to allow them speak up, they would talk to somebody else or read up online and even take other perceptions that might not even be what it is. Do you get? So the society is not accepting. Let me just...
So as while she was saying this, all that was flashing through my mind was one particular Maraji video where she was showing about Nigerian parents and children and all. And then this a boy or a girl just comes in and says, hey, "Daddy, I love you." And then the father is, of course, it's Maraji talking to Maraji. That's how she does the videos. And he's like looking at her and say, as in she was like, won't you say it back? Come on. So is that the nonsense? It's love, love, love you're thinking about, and then she just starts one parade. But is that the way, But that is the way a lot of kids kind of go. You can't voice out these things to your parents. I mean, I was speaking at the teens conference, and by the time the amount of teens that came and were saying a lot of things that they couldn't even tell their parents. So really, our social structure has a lot to do with that. So, guys, we'll be right back, and this is the Mind Doctor Show. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Mind Doctor Show. We've been having so much fun, but at the same time we've been learning a whole lot about mental health. And we have a segment. I told them that they should just wait, that I want to, it's a segment that we call How Times Have Changed. That's the name of the segment. Okay. People have been asking me now. Okay. People have been asking me to do the segment.
We're ready.
So see, this is the name. This is what this segment is about. You guys that are watching the show, send in posts and examples of how times have changed. And then hopefully, if yours is good enough, we'll air it on the show. You probably get a mention, get a prize, stuff like that. Something to encourage you, But there are conditions, The whatever you send in must be hilarious, it must be educative, and it must be a glaring, literal example of how what times have changed. Because that's what it's called, title. Okay, yeah, that's what. Okay. So I want to be sure that they are following me. Anyway, so it says, okay, now it goes like this. The one we got for this episode. So a Niger singer sings, "If you see the mermaid, Her Royal Majesty, Pikin we fine like this. Suppose they with me." Okay, so sorry, that was what the person sent. Okay, let me get to the story. The story is this. Back in the day, when you called a Niger girl a mermaid, she would either go like this. Who you they call mermaid? Abi you top winch? Or she will go, me, mermaid. Now you be wizard, thunder fire you there. So apparently today, if you call a girl a mermaid, it's a sexy line. Because even in the video, the musician got a runaway bride. She abandoned the guy at the altar and followed him.
As a mermaid?
Yeah. He said if you see the mermaid, say she fine. It's like, you people don't get, look at medical people say, you need to get something. When somebody's trying to push a ministry forward, you just see people
Sorry. Okay, sorry, this is the part we laugh, Abi. Okay, so sorry. Missed it.
So please, if you are sending in your post, it has to be a post that we will actually laugh. This one, we thought it was, yes. If you see the, how times have changed.
Yes, times have actually changed.
About it before. Times have actually changed now. She told us that there's the virtual realm of this mental health. We only know the physical realm of this thing. But you're saying there's so times have
actually. So I should get a prize for how times have changed.
You didn't say. So, guys, before we now start, we want to be able to give you some takeaways of we want to be able to give the audience takeaways of what can we do. We've heard a lot about what exactly mental health is, what exactly mental illness is, but what can we do as a community, as a people, in our own Nigerian space? What can we do? In our own African space, what can we do? So we'll start with
doctor. No, we need doctor.
Okay. But ladies first.
We need a doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, to give us kidney. I know why doctors are doing this.
Okay.
Just show you how.
Okay.
I was even I was telling him before the episode that he should carry me to one of the New Jersey branches.
New Jersey branches.
Yes, because it's not a crime to be able to work in New Jersey. Must I be here in Nigeria? And you have access, you have a connection, all those things, and you are saying, I'm telling them now that so you can say it now, you can agree. Before we leave this place,
he said yes.
And we'll post it on the show later that doctor has carried me to New Jersey, where I will be working.
Virtual space.
Virtual space.
The virtual. Okay, so guys, so what can we do? It's been wonderful, but what can we do as a community? Yeah?
Well, I think it's what are we doing right and what should we continue to do and what are we doing wrong and we should kind of de-emphasize. One thing we are doing right is that we are increasing awareness. That we're doing right, that we're getting correctly, and that is fantastic. I believe so much in collaboration. For the longest time, I always say that the people in the mental health space, they stayed in the institutions and they did not come out. And if anything, they mocked and laughed at people who were doing their best in spreading awareness. So they would stand out there and say, oh, the people who are, the NGOs are just there for the money, they are not really doing anything right, and laugh at them. But the truth is that if the NGOs have the passion, they have passions that the people in the institutions don't have, and that is the reality. They are reaching out to people. Yeah, we have money. Money, I think I was on an event last year, and Mani too was present, and they said that they had reached out in 2017. I think well over like 5,000 people, virtually. They are reaching out to numbers that is mind-blowing, helping a lot of people. So one thing that we can do is synergy. Those who are informed should synergize with those who have passion, rather than just stand out there.
Information and passion.
Yes, and that way we will definitely make a difference.
Okay. So let's hear from our in-house Mani star, all the praise they have been praised.
Superstar.
It was sincerely, at our conference, I was at a conference this year, and Mani was there, and then there was a particular video that they played. A girl was about to commit suicide, called her mom and everybody, She went to a shop, went to buy the drug, everything. And the guy who was selling to her was behaving as if he didn't know what she was doing. Gave her the pack. She went back to the car. As she was about to take it, she now saw Mani card inside that pack, and which was it was like she now brought out the card and called. That was how. So it was really moving, and we really have to applaud. He said something very important about information and passion. Because truly, I come from that generation of the institution. People stayed in the institution. People hardly, but now it's even changing that. There's a doctor I know who was a lecturer, but he's out there now. He's doing. Because really, we can't just talk. We have to do. Now has come to, now is the time to do, not just know all these things and not do anything. So let's give, the floor to our Mani stars. Tell us, what more can we do about this thing?
There's so much to be done, actually. Because aside from offering counseling, we have trainings. We offer trainings at schools, churches, organizations, community outreaches, just to get across to people to be mentally aware. But one challenge we usually have is funds and professionals in the field. We want to keep training. It's like train the trainees to become trainers. So if you can speak to people in the community to be mentally aware, they would also speak to others, and it becomes a ripple effect of knowledge. So we need more hands, more people. We need sponsors. We need government to be involved. We need, like he said, the practitioners to be involved. So whenever we write out to people, or whenever any mental health organization writes out to people to come out, they should come out. Because you know about it, but you're not sharing your knowledge. You're waiting for people to come to you, to come and tell you, I have a problem. But this is a generation that would not speak to you. This is a country where people will not come out and talk to you. You have to go out there. Before you hear stuff like, psychologists don't publicize themselves, patients come to you. But the truth is, we're not asking you to publicize yourself. We're asking you to teach people what you know, to self-help themselves. So they can recognize when they have a problem, then they can now come to you.
Recognize, something she said about recognize, because if you cannot recognize it as a problem,
yes,
you won't know you need to come to people, you know. One of the things we constantly push when it comes to healthcare is stop being the doctor that sits and say, let them come and meet me. You know, you're just going to meet me. If you care about your health, you come and meet me. But that's not really how it should be. We're supposed to be educating people. Tell us a bit about you mentioned look, we don't have too much time anymore, but you know, you mentioned he has an NGO as well that does, you said Greater Hill.
The Grace Hill Healthy Mind Initiative. Okay. So we also do it. It actually started out first by me. I went to visit this mental health facility, an NGO mental health facility, and I decided to then provide my expertise to provide free consultation and free medication from them for them. And I've done a lot of publicity with churches, with organizations. I've done a lot in my over 13 years in all, but intensively in terms of awareness. I've been doing awareness since 2012.
So guys, what we want you to be able to reach out to any of our guests on their social media handles. You can the social media handles will be displayed there. Dr. Tefe, Debbie, Ladi, Aduralere. I mean, as in, they've been so wonderful. It's been really, really wonderful having you guys here, vibing, not laughing at my segment.
You're correct. Not laughing with, laughing at.
No, we laugh together, doctor. See you laughing.
So they say. Anyway, so really, we've been able to break down a lot about what mental health is, what mental illness is, what we can do as a community, you know. Reach out to us on the show here, call the numbers. You can reach out to me, Ada _ Somonika on Instagram. We can be able to get through to our guests anywhere. If you want to volunteer, if you want to offer sponsorship, if you want to be able to teach people, because we need to speak and keep on speaking about mental health. So I should be doing like this when I say
speak your mind.
Speak and keep on speaking about mental health. Guys, it's been wonderful being with you here. My name is Adanze Somonika and I remain the Mind Doctor. Thank you and good night.